Hello and welcome to the Albuquerque Narrative Gamer episode 13 or Anger 13. So, if you're into like call signs and stuff, this is Anger 13. Okay. So, yeah, we told you last time it was going to be weird, and boy, was it weird.
Yeah.
Because over the last few weeks, either Josh or I have gotten sick, or in my case, we lost a couple of puppies, and it was just nuts. We just could not get together.
Yeah. No, it was tough. I mean, I was sick back to back. First with a stomach bug and then with an upper respiratory infection.
Oh,
Just getting the 1-2 punch. And so, my voice still sounds a little scratchy from it. Yeah, but it was just one thing after another.
yeah, it was nuts.
But, that on my side, that's what happens when people, go to events or work sick. No one's masking up if they feel sick, and they're just, coughing freely and just letting it fly. I mean,
a couple years removed from COVID, and people have completely forgotten what actually made that a nice time. Hey, if you're sick, wear a mask. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and, hand sanitizer everywhere and Lysol everywhere.
Yep.
And we just very quickly forgot what that was.
Yeah, how to be hygienic.
I mean, I still clean my groceries, for goodness sake.
It's we went to one of those Brazilian restaurants where they come around with the different meat racks and what have you, and I noticed how they still have their big salad bar thing, and that's pretty open. They have sneeze guards and everything, but it's still pretty open, so it's a little scary. But I noticed how the guys that were going around with the different kinds of meat, they were so careful to make sure that that was never in the line of the table, so that if somebody was sick, they weren't going to be breathing on it.
Yeah.
And the amount of meat that they took out at any one time was way less than it used to be. It used to be they would load those skewers so they could go around for, half a dozen rounds around the restaurant. Now it was like they'd have 1 or 2 links of sausage on there, or, 3 or 4 racks of ribs. Nothing major. So I was impressed by that, but the world has changed, but not enough. So, but anyway, we're here. We're back, and the long-awaited Warcrow update. It's probably a good thing that we waited this long, because the Warcrow update went through a couple of different iterations. So yeah, there was some consternation about some of the changes they made, and they went back and looked at it and said, yeah, let's back that one off. Let's put this one back. So yeah, different changes to the Warcrow rules, but we will get to those as we get to the main show. For now, we just want to talk about this show is going to be, of course, the Warcrow update, plus a lot of news from around the world. But we're also going to do a thing on getting through the holidays, not just hobbying through the holidays, but mentally preparing yourself if this isn't your actual favorite time of year, which for a lot of people it isn't.
Yeah, it's true. So lots to talk about here today. Product reviews that we're going to go through. That's its own show, I think.
I mean, there is so much that has come out. Go figure, holiday season. But so much has come out, and so much of it is so good.
Oh, yeah. GW's throwing it down.
They really are. They just hitting it, people. So, let's start with Games Workshop. So Blood Bowl Season 3, the update that nobody asked for, but it's here, and you know what? It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, how'd you say it? Simplifying it, but not dumbing it down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Simple, but not easy. Anyway. So there's better team development, better leagues, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And I think that's, if you're going to go at Blood Bowl, I mean, the core rules, like in terms of how the game actually plays on the tabletop, solid.
Yeah.
Has been for so long.
Yep.
But, really working to make sure that, not saying that it's, again, easier on rails or anything like that, but that it's easier to understand how to upgrade, and your paths are a little bit better, and establishing stronger leagues.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I think that's really where to go at Blood Bowl. I mean, I don't think the rules ever need to change on the tabletop.
They did make a pretty fundamental change to passing. But what they've done is they got rid of all the pain points that were involved in passing. It's no longer let's pause the game as we do all these measurements and look for all this other stuff. They've made it a lot simpler. I don't believe passing is going to become the new meta for the game, but at least now it's well done and it's executed in a way that it becomes a good option now. So well done for that. Cleaning up the game system to just basically help move it along quicker. And, you know, everybody knows that games that take 3 hours are a thing of the past.
Yes.
We don't want that anymore.
Nope.
Even 40K, you know, if you want to have a nice leisurely afternoon game, yeah, that's, you know, you can just sit down, throw out 2,000 points and have a good time. You know, but most of the time people want to have a much quicker. They want to be able to get 2 games in a day or 3, you know, and I'm not talking about the tournament stuff. That's a different mindset. You're going to do it in a tournament. But for just casual play, I think they've really nailed it. They've made great changes with Blood Bowl 3. And shockingly, they didn't demolish everything that came before. You know, everything still works. There's nothing you need, you know, the new cards and or the downloads for the teams, but you know, those are available. So they're learning. They are learning. They are applying everything good about Kill Team to everything else. And it really does show. So
what I really like too is that while they breathe new life into some of the models and all that, like Blood Bowl doesn't matter, right? Like everything's on the card. So if you have like an old school troll or something like that, and you don't have like the newer one in plastic that came out, it's still your troll. I mean, like it takes up the same space. It still has the same stats. And so you get to just use all the models you want to use or update them as you go. Like when they dropped the Chaos Dwarf team. That was so fun, you know, and, you know, a little bit of a teaser for what was going to be coming.
Just a little.
But the fact that they've done that, and they've added new teams too, you know, throughout it. And so I love that there's support for this game because it is very beloved.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you could easily find YouTube channels and podcasts dedicated solely to Blood Bowl.
Yes.
Like it's really interesting, side note, how like within like any type of gaming sphere, right? Let's just say GW, for example, right? There are some people who will only play one game from GW. That's all they do. They don't touch anything else. And they are just wholly dedicated to it for their whole lives. It's crazy.
It's awesome. You know, I'm just that kind of person that I like to see all gaming do well.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, Frontline Gaming always likes to talk about how a rising tide lifts all boats. When miniatures gaming as a whole is healthy, it's good for everybody.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
You might start with 40K, but you're going to branch out. Eventually, you will find other games that interest you, and you'll buy into that, and you'll do stuff with that, and then you'll go back to 40K, and you know, it's this constant churn that just helps everybody, all the cottage industries around the bigger companies, and you know, there are no really big companies in the gaming sphere, but it's fun to see something like this get redone and pretty well accepted. And, you know, the way that they are knocking Kill Team out of the park, every single thing that they do is awesome. You know, they haven't made a misstep in Kill Team in a long time.
I have to say it's probably their cleanest game.
Oh, big time.
Like, you know, for the, it's like, you know, the dad hobbyists, right? Like Kill Team is such a good option for them because it's a quick game, you know. It's even something that, you know, they could play with their kids because it's relatively easy to get them there, you know, depending on their age. And it's so fun, particularly if you're a kit basher type.
Oh,
you know,
God, yes.
Like, that's the thing. Like that Necromunda, if you get into kit bashing, like you'll get sucked into those games.
Hell yeah. I mean, Necromunda is what you graduate to after you've played the Kill Team a while, and when you want that crunch, you go to Necromunda.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think it's as much of a straight shot into 40K as they think it is. I think it sells way more Necromunda to new players. And, you know, for Ash Barker to sit there and say his number one Christmas box game for the year was the Kill Team starter set, which if you look at that starter set, there is no better bargain on the market anywhere. And this is coming from Games Workshop.
Yeah.
But you get 2 full teams, absolutely everything you need to play, everything. And you are playing a full up game of Kill Team.
Yeah.
And in that box. And once you have that, you can then start expanding to other things. You don't need to buy any of the big terrain boxes. Somebody's probably already done that. But yeah, you have the Space Marine team. You have the Nurgle, what's his name team, you know, Op 4. And you're off and running. Brilliant. Just brilliant. Gotta love it.
Talking about brilliant.
Warhammer Quest Darkwater.
Hey, I'm on the side of this game. Looks amazing.
I picked mine up yesterday and I could not open it right away.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had that feeling in ages.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this game is certainly divisive in the community. I'm just like you. I'm in the camp that says this is a good game. This is a game I'm going to be able to play here at home with my wife for fun, or take it around and, play it at the game store, or take it with me on trips and what have you. And it'll be a ton of fun. Yes, it's not Warhammer Quest 1995. It's not even Curse City, but it is a modern today kind of game. Yes, the price tag is hefty.
Yeah.
When you open that box, you're going to see where that $250 went. The presentation is absolutely brilliant. The book that contains all the maps, absolutely brilliant. I mean, it lays completely flat. You play your game, you close it up. You don't need terrain sets. You don't need all this other stuff. Yeah, you can make 3D terrain for it to make it look a little cooler here and there, but and I'm sure within a week or two, the STLs will be out there to print all kinds of. I'll probably do it, but
yeah, they're going to be hitting real soon.
Yeah,
they're going to be hitting real soon.
Yeah, I'm setting my watch. So, but yeah, it's just a fun, easy, light game that has a little bit of campaign element to it with how you grow your characters and how you get your rewards. And, the rewards decks are big enough that you're not going to just, oh, look, I got the same again. Yeah, there's a bunch of new stuff. And I got to tell you, the hero figs in that box are just off the hook. Beautiful.
I mean, some of the best they've released.
Yeah.
For fantasy style, it's AOS adjacent, right?
Yeah.
So AOS adjacent stuff. Some of the best I've seen in a while.
And the Op4 is all Nurgle stuff. So if you're at all interested in playing the best faction in AOS, it's a great box to pick up just to have alternate models for some of your stuff.
Nurgle is, how many times we rant about this? Like, it's just some of the best design space that they've ever had.
Yep.
Like, every one of the Nurgle models freaking hits. Like, I don't think that they've made one that wasn't just so interesting and they're so fun to paint.
Yes.
Particularly if you like contrast and things like that. It's just, I love anything Nurgle just because it's so fun to paint.
Well, and there's a reason they chose Nurgle, I think, to be and I don't think it's just because it's topical with Blighted Lands coming out or Blighted Wilds coming out. When you look at the ease of painting the Op4, if this had been Emperor's Children, nobody was ever going to paint the Op4. They were going to stay gray.
Yep.
Now that they're Nurgle, you'll go down to the store, the owner of the store, the manager, will show you how to use the different green contrast paints to make a brilliant looking model, and you'll take it home and do it.
Yeah.
And that'll be, if this is your first exposure to Games Workshop stuff, you'll be hooked on their system. And there's a subtle brilliance to that, which I like.
Me too.
That was a very good choice to have, honestly, if you had done Blades of Corn as the bad guys or what have you, I don't think you'd see a lot of painted bad guy sets.
No,
this,
of course not.
I think you will.
Yeah. I mean, anything other than Nurgle wouldn't be painted.
Yeah.
Like Tzeentch, bizarre looking stuff and weird. And like Nurgle is weird, but like when you're just dealing with, that rot.
Yeah.
That blight, the pustules, those things. There are tried and true methods to paint those models effectively. And it's so easy.
And the store managers can take you through the process of making almost all of those bad guy models look good in easily half hour, 45 minutes, as they show you the technique to use contrast and then highlight it with real paints.
It's awesome.
So yeah, they nailed it. And you just, as you sit there and you realize, okay, so you just spray all of these with Wraithbone and then you get out your Plague-Ridden Flesh, and almost at that point, you're almost done.
Yeah.
You are literally almost done. Now it's, highlighting the different skins on the exposed stuff. If you want to highlight it, making lead belcher on the metal and all that, you can do it so simple, or you can take it to the next level. You can go Luis style and just go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. For a box game? No. Anyway, yeah, it's just, it's a great box. Again, if this is the kind of thing that you think they're in the price level of Frosthaven, but they're delivering basic hero quest. I get why people are upset.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not saying they're wrong for that. The price point is really, really high, but it still looks like a fun game. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I had to get it. So
be expecting some bat reps from Bill on that in the future.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear the journey through it.
Yep.
And then, as you alluded to, Blighted Wilds, the new Path to Glory book is coming up.
Again, I just got that yesterday, and I haven't really, I haven't read it. Mm-hmm. I've just flipped through it, but man, it looks phenomenally good. The bad guys are, of course, Nurgle.
Gasp.
Who knew? And, but it's kind of interesting at the very top of the rule set. They're like, I understand that this is all plague and corruption. And you might be asking yourself, if you play Nurgle or Skaven, why are you trying to clean up this corruption? And they're like, well, because it's the wrong kind of corruption for you. You don't like this corruption. You want your corrupt. They give you some why you're actually here stuff if you're those factions, but more looking at the way they did the scenarios and the branching storyline, the branching tree for the scenarios, it looks really nice. And one thing I really loved was the rewards. When the scenario's over and you go to the rewards, you go to the after phase, and there's usually two choices. The winner gets to pick the first one, the loser gets the other one. So I think they're doing their best to get rid of that runaway, and each one of the choices is really not bad. One of them is usually a pretty substantial, nice buff for one of your units or going into the next game. The other one is usually a bonus in the coming after segment.
Oh, okay.
So it might say that you get to have 2 units of renown instead of 1. And so, boom, now here's more experience, here's this and that. So even if you're the loser, you're going to get something that's going to help you go off in the future and not just, well, Josh started winning, so that was the end of that.
That was the problem with the old Path to Glory for sure.
Yeah.
The winners won big.
Yeah, and the losers, they got stuff, but it wasn't usually enough to correct a runaway.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of a Path to Glory campaign, you win your first 2 to 3 games, and you're skyrocketing. Yeah. You're skyrocketing, and then everything after that, you're just wiping the floor. I'm glad they do that. We'll probably do a full review of that book later on.
Again, like I said, I just skimmed through it, but everything really looks very slick, and it looks to me like they're really taking to heart some of the things that have plagued the system before. So that's it from Games Workshop. Moving on now to Catalyst Game Labs. Near and dear to my heart, the people that bring you Leviathans and a little game, Battletech. I don't know. I don't know
if anyone plays that anymore.
I'm not really sure.
I don't know why they support it still, but apparently this
evidently
Aces Scouring Sands thing came out.
Okay, so in the world of Catalyst Game Labs, the Battletech Aces Scouring Sands box has hit. And why is this important? Because if you play Alpha Strike, this is the solitaire and cooperative game system that we have literally always wanted. This is an AI system for the OP4 so that you can either play a solo game or, boring, or a co-op game where you and your friends are playing against the system. And there have been, solo systems released. Obviously, a game that's 40 years old is going to have some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And they have always sort of paled.
Mm-hmm.
The Levander Studios that brought this system to Alpha Strike, these guys are the veterans of Star Trek Attack Wing. They did the AI system for that. They did Snapship Tactics. That's their game. Snapships makes the models, but Levander, is it Leander or Levander? I think it's Levander. They made the AI system and the game system for that game. They have the chops to do this stuff. And I have to say, after playing it, it is absolutely brilliant as an AI opponent. It will do things that will make you just go, you son of a bitch. I can't believe you did that. And I said I was going to do an in-depth review, but we're going to save that for another show because it deserves its own show, how that AI system works and the thought process behind it and how they fixed the different things that could have gone horribly wrong and they just literally made into not an issue. But quite literally what you do is you get a deck of cards for each one of the subtypes of mechs in the Op 4. So if it's a striker, a juggernaut, an archer, all of these things, a scout, it's going to have its own deck. And you're just going to cycle through those cards, and the cards have everything you need. The initiative, when that unit is going to go, everything about how it's going to react. But also at the same time, there's a commander card who is the Op 4 commander, and he is generating priorities. And usually when you have a solo system, what ends up happening is each individual mech is out there on its own island, and it's doing its own thing. It's trying to do the best thing that it can do, and it's saying to hell with the rest of my buddies. This system fixes it with the commander cards, where the commander is giving out priorities to everybody.
Damn.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. In terms of the Catalyst Game Labs playtest updates, they have announced that Alpha Strike will be getting playtest packs soon. But one of the things that Aces has brought to the game is that the multi-hit rolls are now required, not optional. So if you were not playing with multi-hit rolls, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you should seek help. And also the initiative system goes to it's a derivative of the front-loaded initiative system. So it cleans up the initiative system for unbalanced size forces. It's very, very good. Very well done. Brilliant game system. Perry and I, God, I have too many friends with the same ERRY name and a different first letter. So, okay. Perry and I played through 4 of the campaign missions from this box, and just off the hook, brilliant. It was, none of them were like, we learned what you do and we whooped your ass. No, I don't care if you know what the cards do. It's the way they come up, the order that they come up, and what the commander is saying on that turn. That changes everything. And they fought like tooth and nail. I hate them. They were so good. But anyway, in games played, you'll hear about the campaigns. So that's Battletech Aces in a nutshell. You will hear a show dedicated to updating the Alpha Strike stuff and talking about Aces.
Yeah, that one will probably practically be Bill's solo episode. As I sit here and go like, oh, cool.
No, because we're going to start the campaign.
What?
So, yeah, you're going to get sucked into this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yep. It is a lot of fun. Let's go over to Parabellum Conquest. I hate these people. I don't want to cover this game anymore.
How much money they make you spend?
Oh, God, tons. Freaking Vic ordered me everything. I hate that, man. God. So Weaver Courts are coming out like gangbusters.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so the dragons are out. Dragons. The
Drake.
Yeah, the 2 different versions are out. Let's see, what else came out? The Geminid Knights, the fungus things. Will-o'-the-wisps. Mm-hmm. Those came out. The Dancers came out. So, yeah, it's Weaver Courts are going gangbusters. They're just absolutely brilliant.
The production schedule that Parabellum has is just insane because they get you, they whet your appetite with, a good few units. And you're like, yeah, this is awesome. But next thing you know, they just drop the rest of the army. Like, they're just getting so good at releasing.
Yeah, honestly, I would say about half to 2/3 of that army is out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some units, the cavalry isn't out yet, and, some of the other units, but I believe it's now playable for sure, which is good because Terry finally, yeah, see what I mean? This is horrible. I don't need any more ERRY people. If you're an ERRY person, don't try to be my friend ever. So I have enough of you.
You meet some guy who's named Larry who spells his name that way.
Yeah. So, well, and because there's also Sherry, who is a newfound gaming friend, and yeah, that one's hard. So, oh boy. Anywho, we're gonna get together after the first of the year. Once the holidays are over, to rekindle his conquest stuff because he's fallen out a little bit of conquest. He's got that whole Dwigholm army, and I'm like, dude, you are so set up to win. Dwigholm is so fun right now, but we have to change your list.
Yeah.
We have to make some changes. He's like, well, let's get to it. So, Yeah, we'll be doing that shortly. But in other big news, they've dropped the new First Strike rules. Mm-hmm. So the complete and total revamp of First Strike is out. If you don't know what First Strike is, you have Conquest, which is the rank and flank battle game. 6x4 tables, the whole 9 yards, big units, nasty crash, bang, let's play a game. First Strike is the skirmish version of the exact same game. And all you do is you take your models off the big army stands and you put them on their individual little stands, which incidentally, Corvus Belli or Parabellum's already thought of. It's easy to do. Their big stands are big and the models come right off because the holes are for the base sizes. They're awesome. And you take those models off of that and you play a skirmish game with typically 10 to 15 models, and you play it like Warcrow or something on that level. And I never got into that game because it was clunky in the way it was implemented. To me, it was implemented like as an afterthought. Hey, look what we can do. Hey, let's write some rules real quick. Now this new revamp is going to breathe new life into that system. And it looks, from a cursory glance, again, this is going to have a show. From a cursory glance, it looks like a really fleshed out, nice system.
Isn't it First Blood? Not First Strike?
Isn't that what I said?
You said First Strike.
Because I meant First Blood. First Strike. What an idiot.
You had too much Battletech on your mind.
I do. Oh, God, I do.
I mean, one of the main pulls for me getting into Conquest was the fact that I could play them in this skirmish game with no additional effort. Yep. And so, I mean, oftentimes if someone's like really wholly dedicated to the full rank and flank 6x4, right? Oftentimes they'll just paint and construct their models into the base so that way they can't be removed.
Right.
But my recommendation for any new players is to not do that. Having the flexibility to jump into a skirmish game at any moment is a huge boon that you don't normally get with these rank and flank games.
Yeah.
And I was super into First Blood. In fact, that's literally the only reason I have Wadroon models. Yeah. Because I got, Big Mama on T-Rex and then her 3 Raptor girls, just so I could have this super fun dinosaur and orc skirmish team.
Yep.
Right. And I tell you what, that's the beauty of it. If you don't really want to fully get into a particular faction, but you really like some of the models, hey, you can use them in First Blood.
Exactly. Yeah. And the First Blood, the way they do the box sets for First Blood is they dovetail right into your construction of an army.
Perfectly.
So yeah, you're not going to ever lose money getting into one or the other.
Yeah.
It's not like, again, a lot of the kill teams, some of the models will transfer to 40K. Most won't. You can use them as proxies, of course, but it's a lot of the different skirmish games have separate model sets. This one is you just take what you use for your big army and pull out and have a skirmish fight with them. And that's so nice. So nice.
It is. Have you seen the Yoroni Desert, essentially? None of their models are available right now.
Yeah.
They keep selling out.
Yep.
So some of the models that you normally pay, I don't know, it's usually $50 for the brutes for the Yoroni.
Yeah.
They're not available except for private sale, and so people are jacking up the prices.
Sure.
So Origami Warriors are $80 right now.
Wow.
And some models you can't even find. They don't even have them available on Parabellum's website because they sell out so quick.
Damn.
It's just wild. So a lot of people are into this game, guys. So jump into it.
It's lightning in a bottle. And, again, the game is 5 years old, but it's still really at the ground floor. We're now getting to the point to where they're codifying everything into a really cohesive mesh and balancing the factions and doing all kinds of great stuff. And Parabellum just hits on all cylinders. They get what makes a game fun and they keep it in the game. They get rid of the stuff that makes it a slog. And this the huge difference between Warhammer Fantasy and Conquest is, to me, the speed of play.
Yes.
And the fact that you can run through a 10-turn game of Conquest. And the first couple of turns are going to be sloggy as you try to bring your units on and you have to roll for everything. And once they're on the board and you're just playing. And, you have to know the rules, but the rules are not hard.
No, not at all.
yeah, once you're into it, it all becomes down to strategies and tactics and knowing how to get the best out of your units.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a game shines. That's where it should be.
Yeah.
Not, I bought the right list, so I win.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick break before we move on to Corvus Belli because breakfast is ready. So we shall return shortly.
So, this all seems horrible.
All right. Okay, so we have made fundamental changes to the gaming scene right after breakfast.
Yes, we have.
So we are renaming these companies to Corvus Bellum and Parabelli.
Yeah. So that way, when you mix it up, you meant to do it on purpose.
Exactly. I meant to do it on purpose. So we'll get to Corvus Belli. A lot more Warcraft. Warcraft. Jesus. Warcraft. This is what happens when you get old. God damn it, I'm an idiot. Okay, Warcrow releases. Actually, a lot of the Feudum stuff, just some off the hook. It's Corvus Belli. They're so... You're killing me. I'm going to do it all day now. Because... But anyway, we'll get more into Corvus Belli as we get into the main show and talk about the Warcrow rules update. Did want to mention a couple little things that came out. The Alpha Strike Open cards, the Alpha Strike Open Scenario Generator card set is now available. I ordered it I think Sunday. Mm-hmm. And he shipped it out to me, and I had it Wednesday or Thursday.
Nice.
So if you don't know, the Alpha Strike Open cards, they're a scenario generator tool. There's 6 different primaries, and then there's 2 decks of secondaries, one for each person, as well as some deployment cards. Mm-hmm. And you just basically deal out a set of cards. You look at it to make sure it's going to be a playable game, and then you go to it. And it gives you a nice random scenario rather than, if you're doing a pickup game at the store, what one are we going to use from the book? Well, we've done that one 100 times. Mm-hmm. So it gives you some nice random scenarios.
Very nice.
So yeah, definitely if you want those, go to alphastrikeopen.bigcartel.com. It's $20 for a very well produced set of cards, come in a box of their own, very well produced. You're not gonna, these aren't I printed some stuff out on cardstock. No, they're professional cards. So very nice set, $20, cheap. Mantic Games. Oh, those guys, after seeing all the stuff with Halo and all the other stuff that they put out, I am literally, I cannot believe I'm saying this. And if Elric listens to this, he'll probably shit himself. But I am interested in playing Kings of War. I don't need another rank and flank game in my life. But just seeing how they put so much effort and so much dedication into their games. So Feet First into Hell came out for Halo. Just so much more Halo goodness. Oh, it just opens up more options, more fun things to do in that game. Brilliant little game system that I'm actually interested. I'm probably going to pick up that Kings of War rule book.
Oh, yeah?
Just look through it to see if it's something that because now knowing what I know about how much they give a damn about their games and how much effort they actually put into it. Yep, I'm interested. So
heck yeah.
So, but if you are a Halo fan, definitely look into that. So last couple of little notes, Steam Forged Games, they have reinstituted and they just had Lock and Load, which is the, Warmahordes sort of convention. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It appears to me that they're actually serious about bringing back War Machine and Hordes. And although I don't like where the storyline went, and I'm not nearly as engaged with it, I honestly think I'm going to look back into it because A, I have so much War Machine and Horde stuff. B, so many people I know worked on it. I mean, well, okay, one person I know really worked on it. And it's just, I want that nostalgia back. I want that War Machine feeling back. Mm-hmm. And who knows, maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll work. It seems to me like they've announced that they are going to bring back the factions. So Menoth is coming back, even though they said it wouldn't. Well, the previous version of the company said it wouldn't. Steamforged is like, yeah, they will. So
I never got into War Machine and Hordes. But I know a lot of people who played it were very like infinity level dedicated
Yeah.
to it.
Oh, yeah.
High level competition and that kind of thing. So I might take a look at it too if it's going to come back.
That game lends itself. Don't buy anything because I have stuff for just about every faction. The game lends itself to as easily to hardcore sweaty tournament play as fun casual play. There's virtually no difference. It's when you're playing casually, you're not going to measure actual millimeters to make sure, that at tournament play, there was fights breaking out about millimeters of movement. Literally, just because it was that critical. It was that whether or not you could get focus, whether or not you could drop that big spell was huge, and it would change everything. And the good players were, it comes back to this in most games. The good players, the best players, were the ones that moved properly and put themselves where they needed to be. And a lot of people never really learned that about that game. They looked at the stats and went, oh, this one shoots big. Me buy that one. And just watched good players tear them the frick apart.
Yeah.
So, and the painting in that game is off the hook. The beautiful models. Anyway, last but not least for the new stuff, AMG has decided to make a fundamental change to Marvel Crisis Protocol. And I'm not talking about just, we're gonna make movement different. No, they basically changed throws.
One of the most important things in the game.
and wow, did they change it? Now throws do base damage, and that damage is avoidable by the characters. No more of this. I have to take certain cards to protect myself from one throw, and once I've done that, I am now at the mercy of everyone else. Characters that can throw are now impactful. The ability to throw a size 1 thing is actually now a good thing, as opposed to something you were just like, well, that's a waste. Why is that on my card? I can throw size 2 terrain. Big fucking deal. No, now it's impactful because there's flat damage, flat defense. Throwing a trash can matters. And, the guys over at Aegis Brand were kind of talking about how the difference now is throw a trash can at Hulk. And Hulk is either going to be like, yeah, whatever, and defend all of it, or he's going to be like, it hit me in the kneecap and that hurt. Oh, well, no big deal. Throw the trash can at Natasha, Black Widow. You're never going to hit her. You're just not going to hit her. If you do, it's going to hurt because she's a little girl.
Yeah.
And she's going to get hit by a trash can. And it should be, if it hits, it should be impactful for her. It shouldn't matter to Hulk. And now they've kind of made it to where that's sort of the thing. They recently on Aegis Brand, they did a game with just to see how it would work. One of the guys, Alex, took the Magneto team with all throwers.
Oh my God.
And just absolutely wiped with it. It was so impactful. And yet it was still a game. It wasn't like, oh, they just won because they had all the throws. No, it was the crucial ability to be throwing something all the time and generating that little drip of power into Magneto all the time. I think there's probably going to be some more balance changes needed to fix some of the characters.
Yeah.
But now having that, I have a size 5 terrain throw or a size 4 terrain throw, it doesn't make you better. It just opens up the pool of what you can throw. It's going to do the same thing. You throw a building at somebody, it's going to do the same damage as the trash can. And people are like, that's absolute crap. No, it really is. When you come right down to it, if you can dodge a trash can, you can dodge a house.
Oh my God.
Well, is that not true? I don't know.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's such a change. That's such a change. Be really interesting to see how they have to balance it hereafter. I mean, and it's going to make, like that small terrain actually matter.
Yeah.
Instead of just sort of, 'cause I don't remember seeing many people put down size 1 terrain, other than like stoplights and
I
stuff
almost
like that.
never did just because what's the point? Nobody's ever going to pick it up and throw it, and it just gets in the way of movement.
Yeah.
Now it's going back on the table because it matters.
Yeah.
It matters to everybody.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind hitting Toad in the face with a trash can.
Yeah. Yeah. Lick this piece of. Anyway.
You know what happens to a toad when it's hit by a trash can?
Same thing could happen to everyone else. Oh, God, please stop. Halle Berry, I can't believe you said that out loud. You had to look at that and go, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
And Fox is like, we don't care.
You will say it. And we will have dramatic music behind it.
Yeah.
Oh, God, please. Oh. At the height of her talent, they did that to her. Oh, well, anyway.
They also did Catwoman to her. I guess she's not.
That's true. That's true. She looked at that script and said, I'm contractually obligated to do this movie. God damn you. I'll bet you anything that's what she said.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
All right. Shall we move to hobby progress?
Let's talk about hobby progress.
Okay.
You see, for my part, I look upon a promise as binding.
Promise was never occurred to me. I command the king's ship, not a private yacht.
We do not have time for your damned hobbies, sir.
All right. Hobby progress.
Yeah.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. So one thing, it's funny, we actually kind of wrote our draft of this agenda like
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
2-3 weeks ago. And so at that time, I haven't really done anything. But since then, my hobby progress, again, primarily Magic the Gathering oriented.
Nice.
For those of you who have been living under a rock in the Magic world, Avatar: The Last Airbender dropped.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Huge success in like really like solid cards, like not anything that's like broken outright, but cards that are really strong and like because Avatar is a fantasy setting, fits so beautifully into Magic. But I was really struck by this one card, which is one of the Aang cards. It's Aang at the Crossroads. So this card is a 2 generic and then a blue, green, white or band. It has this, the only ability I really care about is like whenever Aang at the Crossroads enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your deck.
Oh boy.
You may put a creature card with converted mana cost 4 or less onto the battlefield.
Oh shit.
Not cast, just put onto the battlefield.
Wow.
So a strong ability, right?
Yeah.
It's also an enter the battlefield ability. And so you can do this really fun thing where you can put a bunch of clones in your deck that are CMC 4 or less. And so a clone, when it comes into play, becomes a copy of a creature.
Oh boy.
And you also have enter the battlefield doubler effects, right? Oh, shit. Well, they're not even doubler. Like they just say it triggers an additional time. So the way my deck is structured.
I can see this coming.
If I get all of my ETB adders, I'll call them, I can get like 5 triggers off of an enter the battlefield effect.
Fuck.
Which is really fun because it's not just clones, so let's say Aang comes in and then you've got just one of the doublers, I'll call it for right now. So then you get to dig 10 cards deep to look for a creature with converted mana cost 4 or less. So you're hoping to find a clone or something that causes Aang to what we call flicker, which is he is exiled and returns to the battlefield immediately. Right?
You do it again. God.
And so I'm missing a few cards from the deck. They're actually in the mail right now. But even with the deck where it is, and I think I only have like 10-ish clones in a commander deck, when you get the right amount of clone density in the deck and you have a enter the battlefield doubler or one or more, your percentage of hitting a clone or some type of effect that you want is like somewhere in the neighborhood of 89 point something %.
Jesus.
So it's just wild. I mean, like I've played a few hands with it and I've whiffed a few times, but I know that's because I'm missing cards, right?
Yeah.
And I just have other cards shoved in there for right now that it's like, mana dork, I guess. But it's just like when it pops off, it is crazy.
Sounds like it could be off the hook.
Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. There are many ways to make like infinite creature mana using like Food Chain and either Mist Hollow Griffin or Eternal Scourge. It's just such a good time in a deck. And I'm trying to make this one fair by having no counter spells in it. Because if I had like that level of interaction too, then I could protect everything. Not that I don't have interaction. I do have ways to like bounce spells back into people's hands and things like that. Or, bounce everything from the battlefield into my opponent's hands, with Cyclonic Rift. But it's just a fun deck. It's just really fun to Goldfish right now. I'm going to be meeting up with some friends on the 28th, and I should have everything by that time, so I can give a full report on how it is actually in the wild as opposed to
in the field.
Yeah. Totally stoked for that one. It's just so fun. compared to some of the other decks I played, which can get pretty sweaty. This one is just a good time. Plus, Avatar is just like a positive memory for me.
Yeah.
And just seeing those cards, because they even have like Appa in the deck and Katara.
Oh.
Because Katara is one of the doublers for Aang. And then I got the special Appa card. I was just like, $35? Yeah. I'm gonna spend that money.
Please, thank you. Okay.
It's fun. That's real fun. And I've been playing some video games. I think I'll more talk about Dark Tide and the Bat Reps, but I was playing a solid chunk of Wolfenstein New Order. Went back to that 2013, attempt to get back into that world. And man, it's so fun. Like mechanized Nazis being your enemy is so fun. And the game's hard.
Yeah.
It's actually hard. You don't have those cheats where you can just back into a corner when you're fighting Mecha Hitler. And, sorry, no, it's called Grok, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's be right.
But yeah, I mean, and then one of my other hobbies is watching horror movies. And so I was just telling Bill about this earlier, but I watched the new movie Good Boy, dropped this year.
Oh, boy.
Where the main character is a doggo.
That's nuts.
It's really suspenseful. There's a couple like little jump scare type moments, but it's mostly like suspenseful and supernatural.
That's cool.
And gosh, it's kind of a tearjerker. So if you're gonna go into that movie, just know you might need a tissue or two.
Cool.
So that was what I've kind of done.
Nice.
For hobby stuff.
My hobby's been kind of weird. I started painting on the Leopard dropship, mostly because I'm afraid to start the Borealis. But, it's one of the things. I'm starting to paint up the Merc Company for our ongoing campaign that I'll get to here in a minute.
Sweet.
Started building up the Weaver Court models, just typical Parabellum. It doesn't look right until you're done. And it's just, they're getting really good at figuring out how to do things that Games Workshop's been doing for a long time. Hiding mold lines, hiding joins, covering over things that are really hard to get injection molded nicely. So they're really upping, at least I can see with the Weaver Courts, they're really upping their game in the model creation and slicing the sprues. Just there is an art to that, and GW nailed it and has always, in the last 5-10 years, has always nailed how to really put these models together. It's really impacted how posable they can be and how kit bashy they can be. But for the average consumer who wants to build what's on the box, it's perfect. Parabellum is getting there quickly. And it's really great to see that they're figuring it out, that they're getting it.
And with more complex models. I mean, Weaver Courts are very complex looking.
Yes, they are. And they are naughty. Yeah, they are. It's fun to build. They are fun to build. I'm not going to say incredibly enjoyable because some of them are very annoying. But it's, this is building models is always that same way, unless you're building Gundam, in which case you just go from happy to glad all the time. So also building Warcrow models because Feudum, because they're releasing everything and it's hard to keep up. I 3D printed a crap ton of Battletech terrain. Again, for campaigns, more on that later. I bought a new resin printer because I was done with resin printing. I didn't want to play that anymore. I didn't enjoy it. And then I bought this new one and said, oh my God, this is so fun. So I bought a Saturn Elegoo 16K. Oh my God. Wow. I literally just fed it a whole bunch of Battletech Aerospace models. The software that I bought, the Lychee software, said, okay, here, let me print all these out for you. Okay, we're done. Other than the fact that it's dirty, sticky, gooey, you have to wear respirators and gloves and full body suits and all that stuff if you don't like. The resin is not good for you. The poured resin is not. Don't think that you can ignore the safety stuff. You cannot. Especially if you're going to sand resin models. My God, wear a respirator. Okay. The studies that are showing what resin dust does to your lungs are horrifying.
Have you or a loved one been affected by resin?
Yeah.
If so, then please
called Glycine Vegas. And anyway, I don't even know their commercial. Oh, Lord. But one thing I do want to say, the AK Quick Gen paints, their version of contrast paints, I don't usually like AK paints with that gel sort of feel to them. They're perfectly fine paints. I just don't like their consistency and stuff. So I've never been a fan of them, but I picked up some of their Quick Gen paints. And the one thing that I notice with them, as opposed to GW's Contrast or Speed Paints from Army Painter, is they dry a lot slower. So here in the desert, where it's generally dry and paints dry very quickly, often more quickly than you can do wet blending, unless you use a lot of retarder. These Quick Gen paints are actually really nice for battle mechs, and I think for any application, they're really nice here in the desert. So I give them, 2 appendages up. So that's it for hobby. Should we go to bat reps?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. 2 things, all BattleTech related. Because of the release of, the Mercenaries campaign set and the Hinterlands book and all that stuff, we've started to play some BattleTech Classic Mercenary campaigns. And I got to say, those things are an absolute blast. You have a 3,000 point BV limit, which means at the start of the campaign, you're probably going to have 2 mechs at most, probably with one of them having an improved pilot. And that's a really fun, manageable game. And then the campaign system makes it to where you it's not just stay on the field until everybody's bloody and broken. You actually, if you're starting to get your butt kicked, you want to get the heck out of there. You want to go into force withdrawal. Or, if you salvage the other guy's mech, you're in a great place. Because now you have 3 mechs and he has 1. He has to buy a new one. But they've built in the amount of points that you need and supplies that you can do that. You're not going to be out of it just because you lost the first game.
Okay.
So these campaigns have been a blast. And we went through about 3 or 4 of them, full campaigns, with both of us taking contracts and trying to just bludgeon the other one or do something. Absolutely a crap ton of fun. And we also started, like I said, the Aces campaign, where it is me and Carrie against the bad guys.
Yeah.
And holy crap, it has been a lot of fun. It's not one of those with the coordination of the opponent, the AI opponent, and it can get a little unrealistic at times. But when you think about the opposing force is clanners. So they are stupid. They are by and large stupid. So if they do concentrate on your heavy mech and they let your medium mech maneuver on them, it's because they're clanners and because they're inherently stupid, and for honor's sake with honor sauce. And, again, it's like Klingons and what have you, and Draconis. We have honor. We fight with honor and blah, blah, blah. Everything's about honor and this is honor and that is honor. And well, whose version of honor are you talking about? Is it the one you're using today? Because it sure wasn't this way yesterday. You losers. But anyway, that's just me being an anti-clanner. It really, the way the AI opponent works makes perfect sense. And like I said, it does not really lead to situations that are unbelievable. When they flip those cards and everything starts working together towards a common goal, you're like, oh my God, they're going to kick our asses. They're going to concentrate and we are going to, this is going to hurt. And it's been fun trying to work around that and still achieve our objectives. And I got to say, we won the first game of the campaign. We resoundingly lost the second one.
Wow.
It wasn't even fair. We didn't approach it correctly. We used bad tactics and we split up, never split the party, never split the lance, but we did not achieve even sort of remotely the goals. So yeah, we ended up on the back foot and we had to claw our way back up, and we're about even now. But I'm not calling where the campaign's going to go, because there's every chance that we could lose to a bunch of cards.
Holy crap.
Which is sad. But watching all the YouTube videos and seeing all these it happens a lot. So, and to me, if the cards can go about 50-50, that's a perfect system.
No, that's solid. That's solid.
All right, so let's take a quick break before we get into the main show, where we are going to talk about the Warcrow changes, updates, which are, kind of fun and kind of interesting and need to be gone over. And then we're going to get into some mental health for the holidays stuff.
Yes, indeed.
So, quick break. We'll be back.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye.
Okay, so here we are in the lore section where we're going to talk about the Warcrow update and mental health in the holidays and how to use your hobby. Now, if your hobby is psychiatry, you can probably skip this. But first of all, the Warcrow update. If you have anything before 1.5.2, go and download 1.5.2 because it supersedes all others. And it's a big change. There's a couple of major reclarifications in this one, from fixing bad wording to understanding that any rules printed in Spanish take precedence over anything written in English. Mm-hmm. So they get around the fact that sometimes they let it slip the Spanish text onto the English version of the card, and so they're just like, yeah, learn Spanish.
Yeah.
You little goobs.
Not our problem.
Exactly. You go bilingual, not us. Okay, I love it. I love it. But some of the basic changes to the game, and if you don't play the game, this isn't going to make a lot of sense, so skip ahead. But to settle a lot of the different arguments, there's conflict. If there are conflicts between different rules, they added 2 separate sections, number 4 and number 5. If the conflict occurs during the activation of a unit, the controlling player decides in which order they should be resolved. And that's an order of operations things. So it does make sense when you're looking at things like trappers and what have you. It makes a lot of sense to let the person doing the movement decide when certain things happen. It should be assumed, but it wasn't in print, so people argued about it because sometimes people are jerks. Mm-hmm. And then number 5 was, in any other case, the player with the initiative has the last word. So unless you're in the middle of activating a unit, whoever has the initiative is going to decide how conflicts are resolved.
Yes.
So, okay, fair enough. Permanent abilities are discussed here. I'm not going to read it, but read that section. They've made some kind of basic wording changes to what a permanent is, so that scouts and ambushers now are not penalized for being scouts and ambushers. It's a bonus. So, yay.
Yeah, it's just that those keywords are active on the card, on or off the battlefield.
Yes.
If it's permanent.
Yep. And that's just it keeps you from having that situation where your scout's not on the board, so technically they're not a scout, so they can't come back. Okay, shut up.
Then the change to tinge. So it's not at the start of the round where you roll to see if you're affected by the tinge. It's at the end of the round, and if you have a single tinge marker, you are affected by tinge.
So, it used to be that a tinge on a unit that doesn't really care about tinge that much was sort of a non-issue. Mm-hmm. Well, not anymore. So
yeah, if you have any tinge whatsoever, you do have to go over to the tinge effects table, which, we talked about this before, but there are 2 different tables. There's everyone else's table, and then there's the Scions table.
Yeah, because Scions are dumb. They're OP.
OP, yeah, okay.
Anyway, yeah, it's the tinge system changed completely. Read through these rules, understand the interaction, because since Scions used tinge, a lot of things had to change in how it's generated, how it's manipulated, and when it happens to not penalize the Scion player. Most of the changes for the people that just use tinge or have tinge as a bad effect, most of this doesn't change. It's just you have a different table to roll on, and things happen. The big thing, if the way a pass works is now reworded to be more accurate. If you've already activated all the units you have on the battlefield, and then in red, without taking into account demoralized units, you can choose to pass and not activate a unit. the not counting demoralized units is the key here, because you are no longer now required to activate a demoralized unit if it doesn't make sense at that moment in time.
Yeah.
Because if rallying them and readying them would just literally lead to their death, there's not a lot of point in doing that. So it just makes sense. Big change to activating a unit is 2 simple actions. Removing the wording that said you can do a move in a simple action. It's now you do 2 simple actions. So, and it spells out which ones you can repeat and which ones you cannot. And it also adds perform a tinge skill so that the Scions player has an ability to, do their thing.
Yeah, and then I like putting move into simple action.
Yeah.
Right? Just like folding it in, simple enough. Then there's a long action, and then the process of declaring an action. So it's worded so strangely.
Yes.
First step in performing an action is declaring it. The requirements of an action must be fulfilled in order to declare it. Effects that refer to the declaration of an action must be resolved before any impact of the action can be implied. So, example, a charging unit must execute 2 simple actions that will be declared when performed: move and attack, right?
Yeah.
So that's just the example they kind of give there. It's a weird way to word it, but I kind of get what they're getting at.
Yep. It's cleaning up the wording, and it's cleaning up the idea that you do 2 simple actions is very freeing, because they had to have all this wording in there for moving 0 or not moving or being immobile without penalty and all this other stuff. And by just saying you can do 2 simple actions, you free up all of that wording from the rules, making them cleaner and simpler, which is good. That's what we want to do.
So this here where they talk about the important part of it, if, if the effects of a single action include performing and declaring another action, then the second one doesn't count towards the up to 2 actions limit.
Yes.
2 simple actions limit, sorry.
Yep.
So, if you have those things like, if you do this, it triggers this ability.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, well, those technically 2 actions, right? But because one of them is triggered off the first one, it doesn't count towards the limit.
Even if it's a movement, even if it's an action that does something and triggers a movement, it doesn't count. So it frees up, again, it just frees up a lot of writing space on the cards and frees up writing space in the rules by clarifying it in one place. Nice. Line of sight, I don't know how this ever came up and how it became argued, but you always have line of sight to yourself and to adjacent troops. Okay. I guess that came up at some point.
I would really like to see the edge case that made them clarify that rule.
I do want to know what that it was. Can I see myself? Well, yes, technically. I mean, even if you're in darkness. Okay, anyway, somebody came up with it and it had to be addressed.
Going to move, again, just clearing up the language here. You can't perform a move action and stand still. And that's the language change, because before it was not advance and then parentheses travel distance 0.
Yeah.
Like, that's a bunch of unnecessary wording. I see this issue a lot with lawyers where they just want to use all this big flowery language, particularly in front of juries. And I'm like, how about we talk like human beings?
Yeah.
Because if he says, you can't move and stand still. Oh, I know what that means.
Yeah.
Right? So again, simplifying the language.
Yeah. Being able to perform a move and stand still is very handy. And a lot of units want to do that. A, it uses up one of your actions that you are required to take. And B, you don't want to move because of the penalties. So yeah, that's a good option. To me, simple action stand still would have absolved all of that. But anyway, I'm not a rules writer. Okay. So the next section is move, engage in combat. The red part here is the basic rule. Unless indicated in its profile, the only actions a unit engaged in combat can perform are attack the enemy units engaged with, move to disengage, cast a spell that is targeted against the caster themselves or the enemy which they're engaged. Now in red, so the changes, you can perform a skill only if the target is itself or the enemy unit with which it is engaged. So it's the exact same as a spell, but you can now use an ability against the unit you're engaged with. And lastly, you can perform a tinge skill, again, only if it targets you or the enemy you're engaged with. Cleans up the wording, cleans up the fact that the way it was originally written is cast a spell. They sort of intended that to include all the abilities and what have you, but it didn't. It said cast a spell. That doesn't mean ability.
Or a tinge skill. So yeah.
Yep.
Just folding it out there because, there were arguments like, well, I'm going to use this tinge skill. Like, sorry, I have you engaged in combat. You can't do it, right?
Yep.
So just clarifying, yes.
Yes, I can use my only ability that matters because I'm a magic user against you now. So, yeah, it makes so much more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay, multiple combats. The penalties for multiple combats have been removed. Read the rule. It makes perfect sense. You're not now going to get overwhelmed by MSUs. So.
Yeah. I mean, this is very clear. They actually just removed language. There's not attacks of opportunity anymore. If multiple units are engaged, it's just straightforward. You attack the unit, and then you have the follow-up stuff, which is comes to like pushing and stuff like that.
Yep.
So then, the attack combat results. So what they removed from there is that the stress is put on at the end of the activation. No, the stress is put on immediately.
Yes.
That's just how it's going to be, and
yep,
that does affect some abilities.
Well, and it could affect your second action.
Yeah.
If your first action was combat and you are now stressed at your morale, you're going to think twice. It used to be at the end of your activation, so you didn't care. You would attack twice, really overtax your morale. Now you might not be able to do that.
Exactly.
So very nice, very handy, and it keeps melee-focused units from dominating any kind of multiple melee.
Yeah.
So very handy, very nice. Even though I have a lot of strict melee units, I like that rule because it's going to take away some of that imbalance.
Yeah.
So, okay, pushing back, read that section on what happens when you are pushing back units and pursuing units. Couple of very simple word changes, but they very much impact how the pushback works, and the pushback is a very basic part of combat. Winning a combat allows you to push back the enemy unit, and that's what gets them off objectives and puts you onto the objective. Read what the pursuit, they changed one word in pursuit, and it talks about using your whole first movement number. So, yeah.
Yeah. The pushing back the unit thing, just, it's if someone would be stopped without completing the full push, you have to angle it so they get as much push as possible.
Exactly.
That's it. Kind of makes sense.
Yes, it does. And if you're going to pursue by saying you have to move your whole first move, obviously you're going to stop if you run into the unit that you were fighting, but it keeps you from pushing the enemy off the objective and then only moving one or two strides to get onto the objective and putting yourself into a much better tactical spot than if you moved your whole move.
Yeah.
So if you have declared pursuit, you are pursuing that enemy. You are going after them. You're going to go all the way after them.
Yeah.
You're not going to be like, oh, it's more advantageous for me to stop here. Yeah, no, it's not a free move. Okay, I'm not going to go. I don't think we should go into characters joining a unit because they break out scout and ambusher units. And when you get the scout and when you get the ambusher tag based on the factors of how you join the unit, we're going to ignore that for now. Read it. It's convoluted. It's a little picky, but it makes sense that a unit that, say, has scout or joins a scout unit, they don't automatically get to instantly break the rules. So it's very it's a big block of text, but read it. It makes a lot of sense, but we're not going to just read it out here. It's not a lot of fun. It just keeps you from being real gamey by joining units that are scouts.
Yeah.
Let's see. Damage, stress, and other tokens. Tinge tokens. Compare the amount of tinge tokens between the character and the unit. Leave the higher. Oh, that's for when you leave a unit. Sorry. I said I wasn't going to read that. Characters leaving a unit. Basically, they clarify who gets what tokens when you join and when you leave, or when you leave.
Yeah.
So it, again, keeps you from being gamey. Oh, that unit has a bunch of tinge and I don't want to be there, so I just leave and I don't get any. No, you do.
Yes.
So, stress and morale. A unit is stressed if, now in red, its activation, they took out the part about its activation ends, and they added it activates and was already activated previously during the current round. That's when you get stressed. So, and it's instantaneous. The minute you declare that you're going again, you get the stress token. So,
and that just brings it in line with, you know, the
yeah,
the previous rule that we read.
The instant effect of stress.
Yeah.
Okay, take a couple.
Okay, so for stress and morale, the effects of stress, what they changed it to is as long as your unit has an activation token and at least as much stress as its morale, you can only activate it to perform the rest action, right? So again, cleaning up the language, right? It has activated before and at least has as much stress as it does morale. So at that point, you have to rest. You're forced to, okay?
Makes sense.
Then, so under demoralized unit, they add a whole new paragraph. If the level of stress of your unit exceeds its morale value by 2 or more, then you will require 2-star, a solid star, to pass the willpower roll to avoid being demoralized and required to flee. For example, if you have a morale of 2 and 4 levels of stress, you must get 2 solid star on your willpower roll. So just bringing it in line, clarifying it, and just solidifying it.
Yeah, and also making the demoralized state a lot worse.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it should be impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas before, it kind of wasn't, because you could activate and do stuff. And, you know, yeah, you would be demoralized and you could take that chance of fleeing at the end. But now, if you have it, you can only rest. And as you gain it and as you start getting towards twice as much, double your morale, it's very impactful. Rolling 1 solid star is hard. Rolling 2 of them, with most places only having 2 dice to roll on a willpower check at most. Some units only roll 1, which means they're going to need some sort of external help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going on, they add a little bit more to what the demoralized unit doesn't do, I think is probably the way to put it.
Yeah.
So they added under the first bullet point, it cannot perform actions. It can't be activated or perform actions in any way. Again, I'm wondering what the gamesmanship was there. It cannot suffer stress or reduce it.
Yeah.
So it's just static at the amount of stress that it has. They put a little parenthetical next when it says it can't control objectives. They just say we consider its conquest value null.
Yeah.
Right. So you have a CV of 0. And then they did add it cannot activate its command abilities for, you know, any characters. Again, very gamey. Like, yes. Oh, it didn't say I couldn't.
and yes, because the leaders would push themselves into a combat, push themselves into a unit, and get incredibly demoralized and be popping command tokens like there was no tomorrow. So
yeah,
no more. Again, it's going to make demoralized a penalty and not just, it happened. So I like that. I like that a lot.
Frightened got pretty brutal if you compare it to, you know, issues with being demoralized. Because if someone rolls a willpower test and they get a solid star, they are forced to re-roll it.
Yep.
I
succeeded. No, I didn't. God dang it.
And you got to re-roll it. Let's see if you can do it again. And then the state's removed after the willpower test is made.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So frightened goes away relatively quickly, but it is brutal.
Yeah. They did the same thing with all the states. Mm-hmm. So the wording has been reworked to be after making the particular test for the state is when you remove the state. So very handy, very nice.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting about slowed, it says your unit can only use one of the 2 move values.
Yep.
So like, I guess you got to pick, guys.
If you're a 6/3, guess which one you're using.
Yeah. Disarmed, they just added straight up that you cannot add modifiers to your attack rolls if you're in this state.
Thank you, because disarmed for some units was, okay, whatever, I don't care. Now it's like, yep, nope, no modifiers. Yay.
And then it comes off at the resolution of a roll in which it was used, so, or the effects were applied. So it got a timing window now.
Yes.
Right. Vulnerable, this one, just like disarmed.
Exactly.
You cannot add modifiers to defense rolls. And again, they add the resolution of a roll language.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. Frightened is frightening.
Yeah. Well, and all the conditions should be impactful, but they should also not be, in most cases, they shouldn't be something that just lingers and inhibits you for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So the immunity to a state condition, if you gain immunity to a particular state and you have that state, you remove that state once you gain immunity.
Who would have thought?
You're immune.
Yeah.
But technically, as written in the previous version, if you were frightened and you gained immunity to frightened, you were still frightened until you got rid of it.
Yeah.
So, and then you couldn't get it back. Mm-hmm. Now you just lose it, which is super Zingo bonus for those armies that tend to buff. I'm looking at you, Feed'em. So, yeah. I mean, it's really it impacted their playstyle quite a bit because handing out those immunities was meaningless if the unit was already whatever, demoralized, disarmed, what have you. It didn't make a lot of sense to cast it because why? So
now damage stuff. I believe they had a previous iteration of this, but I think they cleaned up the language a bit.
They did.
So you cannot remove models that have been, essentially slain due to the number of wounds that the units received to remove yourself from combat. And if necessary, if you would remove a non-leader troop and the leader would be the only one that could be engaged in combat, you essentially swap their places.
Yes.
Right? So you must always be engaged in combat until you either wipe out the other unit, push them and don't follow, right? Or do a fallback, right? So like
that is so funny. And I got to say, I'm guilty. I have done that particular, it doesn't say, it tells me I can remove anyone I want. If I remove that and I'm no longer in range, you ain't hitting me again.
Well, that's an old AOS trick, right?
It is.
Like that's the whole thing. You would do that specifically to get out of combat and then charge back in, whatever the advantage was.
And that's built into the game.
Yeah.
And here they're like, yeah, no, you damn Games Workshop people.
Right. Stop gamesmanship.
Yeah. So that went away. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. So the casting a spell, the order of operations, casting a spell, again, we're not going to read it. It changed so that the tinge effects are now applied appropriately and when they need to be, as well as it, because of the changes to how a spell is blocked, it incorporates that into the sequence of events. Very handy. It looks like a big wall of red text. Honestly, it's just clarifications to the ones that were there before to make up for the new changes to tinge and to the fact that you can block any spell anywhere one time. So another fundamental change to this rule set is blocking a spell is if you have a spellcaster anywhere on the battlefield, has to be on the battlefield, but there's no longer a 30 stride range. It's if you cast a spell and my spellcaster is on the board, I can attempt to block your spell.
Yes.
And all that whole section, this almost entire page is dedicated to showing how that new sequence of play works. It's very self-explanatory, very simple. It's just a change in the order of things.
I really think that, again, it's just getting in line with the tinge, right? So if you like pump up, because you want to add one additional solid star success, right? You immediately get tinge on you.
Yeah.
Which means that after you essentially resolve this order of operations, you go straight into a tinge roll.
Yeah.
Right? Which could be good, bad, and
if you're playing Scions, it's what you want.
Yeah.
If you're playing anybody else, it could be that you explode in a hoary-gory, thing. So it's, I kind of like the way they've redone the magic phasing. It makes a lot more sense now. It flows, even though, it looks like a solid block of, oh my God, text. It's really not. It's just clarifying when each thing happens. I like it.
So then to the tinge roll, they pulled out a lot of text on this one. They just simplified it.
Yeah.
So if you successfully cast a spell gaining tinge or have applied alterations, you take as many of the black die as indicated by the cost of the applied alterations, period. Yep. Before, they'd interlace different colors for the first three, for the next three, for the, because it was used to be go black, blue, green. And then you roll the tinge roll for each empty shield. You receive one tinge, and then your spellcaster unit has tinge, apply the tinge effects.
Yeah. Blow up.
Yeah.
And interestingly, they removed the restriction that said you cannot roll more than 9 dice in a tinge roll. So
oh yeah.
Scions can just about get stupid, although it's going to be hard to exceed that. I'm trying to think of how they would exceed it.
And not explode?
Well, no. I mean, I think that's a given. But how would they exceed 9 dice? You'd really have to you'd have to go into it with a lot of tinge. This is your final nuke. This is your spellcaster sitting at the limit and just going bonsai into the middle of a whole bunch of bad guys and saying, I'm casting. Yeah. He is a living landmine.
So you can't have 8+ tinge because the second you hit A plus tinge, you explode. So you'd have to be sitting at 7 and somehow be able to dump a bunch of tinge at the same time onto yourself, which would then trigger an explosion, right?
Sure. And if you're Scions, that's easy because a lot of your spells are going to generate tinge, as well as you're going to empower it to try to get as many black dice as you can so that you can be up at that 9, 10, 11, 12 point. And then it's just watch the fireworks, people.
Yeah, I like the concept of like this explosion putting tinge on units that would otherwise not get tinge whatsoever.
Yep.
And like messing with them.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, I think they're really trying to double into the fact that the fog and the tinge is the big bad thing in this environment. And it's the thing that is the overarching effect. So by having these rules and by tweaking these rules this way, it really makes it a lot more thematic, I think.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to give them some design space. So, again, blocking a spell anywhere on the battlefield, and then they give you the 4-step process of how to do that and what effect it's going to have on the spellcaster. So very, very nice.
Don't forget, you can also get tinge trying to block a spell.
Yes, you can. Oh,
love
boy.
it. I love it.
Well, again, they're doubling down. I love it. Effects with duration. If a unit or terrain element is the target of an effect with duration, which had already targeted them previously, they must substitute the previous effect with the new one, including its duration.
Yeah, so it doesn't stack, guys. It's just as if the effect just happened then,
Yes.
and the other one's in order.
Yeah, and it does eliminate some of that ongoing strangeness with terrain elements actually just getting worn down by a single spell or effect that has a duration and just continuously crunch them. No, it's just going to reapply its effect, which, it makes sense for what they intended. It makes a lot of sense. You want to take these because you're the science guy.
All right, so tinge skills are considered simple actions. You must be able to spend tinge tokens and all the requirements in order to activate them to apply the corresponding effects. So you need to get tinge in order to spend the tinge on the tinge skill.
Yep.
Right? Yes. Duh.
Yeah, again, it's a simple concept that they felt needed to be specified. But because the Scions use tinge in such a different way, it is important to make sure that everybody's on the same playing field.
Yeah,
so
definitely. So tinge effects, it's based how many tinge tokens do you have? You look at the table and you go to the row with the corresponding effect and apply that effect. So again, there's the tinge effect table for everyone else. So tinge 1 to 4, you suffer 1 stress. 5 to 6, you suffer 1 stress and 1 wound. And at 7+, you detonate, and all units within 5 strides receives 1 tinge. They just receive them, by the way. You just get it.
You put it on their card because
Yes.
that's what happens.
So then for the Scions,
This is hilarious.
with a 1, nothing happens. With a 2 to 7, you roll an orange die and apply the effect corresponding to the results. Solid star, you suffer 1 stress. Solid star, solid crit, you receive 1 tinge. Solid star, empty crit, receive the slowed state. Empty star, solid crit, displace 3, my favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
Solid crit, heal 1 wound. Empty crit, suffer 1 wound. So you get a fun little mini game when you are the Scions and you have between 2 and 7 tinge.
And it looks about 50-50 as to whether it's going to be good or bad. And that's so fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
But again, it's the tinge manipulation, right? So
Yep.
if you I can get tinge, but then I can spend it on tinge abilities. So you can kind of keep yourself in this range, even if you unfortunately get an additional tinge, maybe you even want that. I don't know. But the randomness is super fun. And then on the 8+, the Scion detonates, right? So yeah.
And when somebody detonates, another key thing here is if somebody detonates due to tinge being either 7 or 8, having 7 or 8 tinge, everyone within 5 strides, friendly and enemy, takes tinge. So it's not just the bad guys, your opponent. It's everybody. Oh.
Which can be again, for units or armies that don't normally have tinge on them, being able to apply additional stress, or if you get enough on them, being able to do additional wounds and things you could do a tinge bomb kind of character and reap multiple rewards from that. just over the course of the next, 2 to 3 rounds.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you can get 4 stress or 5 stress onto, let's see here, who's not going to really care? Mostly Hegemony and Cyanon. Well, no, Cyanon are going to. Well, no. I mean, you start putting it to where they have the morale 1 and they get that 1 stress. You've basically knocked them out for the round, and you've made them combat kind of ineffective without ever having to engage them, which is a good thing. That's what Scions want to be doing. Feudum wants to be doing that. So, okay, moving on. Typical standard wargaming rule. If it tells you to repeat a die, which repeat a die in Corvus Belli speak is re-roll a die, you can only re-roll a die once per effect. So once you've picked up a die and re-rolled it, set it aside. You cannot re-roll that again under any circumstance.
Correct.
Period.
Done and done.
Done and dusted.
Shove, attract, place, or displace, easy enough. You can't push someone off the battlefield.
Right. Just
All right.
makes sense.
All right.
The battlefield is a wall, and they just slide along it. So, okay, colliding. When a shoved, attracted, or displaced unit stops movement by coming into contact with a unit or impassable terrain, we say that they collide. They had to add in red the attracted because attracted is a new thing that units can do. They can not just push you, they can pull you, which is good because you want that sometimes.
Yeah. And they also added the in red, if you come into contact with a unit or impassable terrain.
Yes.
So you can, smash units into each other, which, if you're able to do that, could be a little helpful.
Gets all Marvel Crisis Protocol-y. No, you don't take damage from that. Sorry.
Wait, they have trash cans in this game?
Can throw a trash can.
Right. Bloodlust added the or assault, so it's not just a charge, it's charge or assault. So, if you're already engaged in combat, Bloodlust X would trigger. And
it kind of takes a little bit of the agency away from the unit with Bloodlust, but it certainly does make them just as powerful. So
it's so funny because they use reroll here instead of repeat.
I love you, Corvus. I do. But pick a term.
I mean, at least it's not the Spanish. But that would take precedence.
But it would take precedence, even though I'd have to put it through Google Translate, which would probably come back with a recipe for sourdough bread or something. I don't know.
That was really fun, our first campaign, and we get to
the big bad.
The big bad, and it's in Spanish.
Oh, fuck does that mean?
Oh, that was wonderful.
Oh, God.
Dispel just removed without suffering stress.
Yep.
Oops. Now you suffer stress.
Yeah. Okay.
So elites here, they added that the rules here for the elites apply to willpower rolls, attack, melee and range, defense, and the effects of skills and spells of the unit. They do not apply to other rolls such as tinge or spell blocking rolls, including dispel.
Yep.
So
your elite bonus doesn't change the symbols on those particular rolls.
Yeah. Then intimidating, they clarified the language engages or engaged in combat. So it's either an affirmative action when you do engage, but if you already are engaged, intimidating would still apply. And a unit can only feel the effects of intimidating once per turn. So you can't stack and stack and stack and stack.
Yeah, no morale bombs. Okay, so now changing units, and because of the new large units, they did feel like they had to specify some things here. So large units can move through units that are not large. And then they crossed out everything in that rule, which led to so much confusion. Let's just leave it at what it is now. Large units can move through units that are not large. Period. Let's stop.
Yeah, instead of having this whole willpower roll thing and blah blah blah, it's no, they just move through.
No, we just go through.
And so the next part they added to the next bullet point, it said even if engaged in combat, your unit can charge a unit if it has line of sight to and it can move to engage. They added if it does so, the unit is engaged with may suffer stress and make an opportunity attack. So if you go to charge a different unit, they get an opportunity attack and a stress.
Yeah, and it's
they may
actually it's freeing up those large units, those big, the big hegemony warsuit and the what's his name, the stone troll. They can now do more fun things. They can be engaged in combat and just say, I don't like you. You're just a screening unit. I'm going to go get that other guy.
Yeah.
And it gives the unit they're leaving the opportunity to say, all right, it's not my activation, but I'll take my stress now and attack you as you leave. So it's just kind of reorienting the turn sequence, but allowing the big units to play a little bit more fun.
Mm-hmm. And they wholesale added your unit, if it's large, ignores the immovable effects of non-large units. Who'd have thought?
So, yeah, my little sign-in wardens are not going to stop the rock troll. Okay.
Just going to move right through them.
He's just going to basically say, you guys are puny.
I'm just going to step over you.
Yeah, puny god.
So for the manned units, they removed the whole sentence. It only becomes stressed when activated more than once during the same round. That is wholly removed.
Yep.
And then they added, your unit does not suffer stress if it loses a combat.
Which to me is kind of, right now, the only unit I can think of that is affected by that is the hegemony suit. Mm-hmm. And that's the only one that could be affected. And that seems like a weird benefit for them. So I'm assuming there's going to be more manned units coming.
Oh, 100% there's going to be.
Yeah, I think when the dwarves come,
I can't wait for the
They might be riding tanks, in which case that makes a lot of sense.
In which case I'm switching factions, by the way. If I get dwarven steam tanks and dwarven mechs and...
Oh, my God. Can you imagine if they were a mechanized force?
Oh, my God.
Oh, that would be so cool.
It would kind of make sense.
Wouldn't it?
Especially with like sort of just a preview of like their aesthetic with the Warcrow adventures. Yeah. I can see it.
Gyrocopters and freaking tanks. Oh, my gosh. Give them to me now.
Yeah. That'll be so funny. You guys are playing a skirmish game. Yeah. Why do you have 3 tanks on the board?
Why do you have 3 Bane Blades? They're proxies?
Yeah. They haven't released the dwarven models yet, so we just guessed size.
But, dude, that's a Bane Blade. Yeah. They might be big.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
All right. Getting back to... Okay, preferred terrain, read the section on the rolls. Preferred terrain used to be nothing. Now it's a little less nothing, but still kind of nothing. Basically, if you have preferred terrain, you can move through it as if it wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of text that shows how that works. So, boring.
I like forests. I'm walking through forests.
Yes. Well, it makes sense. You know, sign-in should be not hindered by the woods like everybody else are. And so on.
So then scout change, it's really a clarification of language on the front end. Instead of starting with the restrictions to deploy it are as follows. They said, deployment on the battlefield. Your scout units must always follow these rules.
Just period.
Like that's cleaner language. It's just cleaner. It technically means the same thing, but it's just cleaner, right?
Yeah. And scout units are fun, but there has been this ever-changing set of wording as to about how they should be deployed. Now it's just here's the rules, do it. And oh boy, activating a scout once the battle has started gets its own completely red section that tells you how to do it if they're not deployed on the battlefield yet. So it's basically, how do you deep strike a scout? You want to take the tinge?
Yeah. Again, this is having to deal with somewhat with the scout issue. Because it's talking about tinge when it applies to a character's joining a unit, but what if the unit's not on the battlefield, right? How does the tinge affect them? That kind of thing, right?
And this is the tinge keyword that we're talking about here. So
the keyword itself. So tinge is your unit receives 1 tinge token at the beginning of the round. Okay, right? That's easy.
That works.
And the language here, I just don't know if it's translated right, but it talks about characters with tinge joining units. It is considered the unit gains tinge while the character is joined, right?
Yep.
So if the character gains tinge, the unit has tinge.
Yes.
Right?
Since it's a combined card, once the character is there, it's the whole unit that gets the tinge.
And so the unit will receive 1 tinge token at the beginning of the round.
Yep.
Okay. It's just that they worded it so strangely.
Yeah.
Right? It just... That one could be worked on. Let's workshop that. Corvus Bellum. If your unit is outside the battlefield, it does not receive 1 tinge token at the beginning of the round. No one will have to check its effects.
Yep.
All right. Again, if it's not there, yes, it's there, but you're not applying the effect.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Right. Tinge is an on the battlefield effect. Some switches are signaled with the tinge symbol. This indicates that you must spend the required tinge tokens to activate the switch and apply its effects. Right. So
that's going to affect Scions and what's his name? Feudum.
Yeah.
So if you're not playing those, you can safely ignore that.
Yep. And then tinge modifiers, some of them include the tinge symbol indicating the unit receives a tinge token when you activate them, right?
Yep.
So this is a tinge ability. It has a tinge modifier on it. You get tinge from it. Okay. Trying to just make sure all that stuff is cleared up, except for that one sentence, which is probably the most confusing thing they've written in this update.
Yeah. So the terrain element thing is finally settled. Rough terrain, rugged terrain. Rugged always refers to the terrain keyword. So no more misnomer about is it rough or rugged. It's rugged always refers to the terrain keyword itself. It does not imply anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Fog, okay. They're, again, doubling down on what they want to be the theme going forward. Fog in Warcrow is represented using the fog markers. A unit that ends its activation within 4 strides of a fog marker will receive 1 tinge. Fog markers do not block line of sight, and they do not interrupt movement. A unit cannot place a fog marker within 10 strides of another.
Very important.
Yeah. And I would have put another fog marker because some people would assume that that's any other marker. So that's what I would say. Again, clarifying fog a little bit. It gives you tinge. It doesn't do any other effect. It does not stop you from moving. It doesn't block your line of sight. It's just icky to be there. Don't be there. Okay, they go through and they talk about what lethal terrain is and what happens. It suffers an attack with a D roll, blah, 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 blah. Traps. The placing of traps is now codified in this section, and it makes more sense than it ever did before. Read it, know it, love it. You can't place it on impassable terrain elements, but you can basically place a trap underneath a unit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you place a trap so that a unit is going to be on top of it, you just very carefully mark the location of the models you're picking off the table, put the trap down, put those units back where they belonged, and don't be gamey. Honestly, I think they could replace that with don't be a dick.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't just add that as a rule.
Should have. Don't be a dick.
So then the addition that they made to neutral units is that hostile neutral units are enemies of all units of any faction, including other neutral units. So if you have one of those scenarios where you have, like, I don't know, 2 monsters roaming the board.
So the lake will fight the monster.
Yeah, exactly. If they're the closest ones, right?
Yes.
Which would just be such a funny game.
Well, it opens up the ability for certain factions to kite the monster to the lake and have it help. So to me, that's the way I read it. And I'm sure there's going to be more scenarios with that sort of a thing in there.
Oh, yeah.
So
sure.
That's the 1.5.2 set. When we covered it the last time, we covered the 1.5.1, which was markedly different than this. And it had things like character protection inside of units and all of that stuff. All that, don't worry, don't sweat none of that stuff now. It's all not here. It's much more cohesive, much better written. Download the rule book. I think they've updated the rule book on the website. But, of course, the print copies have not been updated, so go figure. Be careful using the printed copies because, well, all these rules have changed. So that's the Warcrow updates. I think overall they did a great job with changing and clarifying a lot of things that were not necessarily the most clear and the most natural. And, of course, the big change being having to move tinge. It seems so silly from the beginning to the end of the turn, but it's what allows the Scions player to actually have an enjoyable game.
Yeah.
The other way would be devastating to their playstyle.
Mm-hmm.
So good rules, I think. I think with Feudum and Scions out there, these are huge rules changes for them to allow them to really mix it up and have a great time. Really want to try that campaign from the book, from the Songs of the Dormant box.
Oh, yeah.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure.
Looks like crazy fun, cool stuff. But damn, those Scion. Holy crap. The more of those I build, the more I'm just like, man, did they nail this?
Right, though?
These are just, this is what Sylvaneth should have been. You know, I hate to say it. Then the Sylvaneth are great, but they're stuck in the past, and this is what they should have been all along.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and for me, the Scions are just major flavor wins all the way around, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm just a red cap guy. Like the other stuff's cool, but I just love the red caps. I mean, yeah, I painted them, but like it's giving Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I absolutely love. I mean, of course, it's Prince Nuada, so I mean, of course it is. But
Yeah.
just the flavor of it is just everything for me, and that's so cool that like this game has such wide variety. It's not just demons, but you also have fey folk, right? That's tied to an elf-ish person. So fun, such a great game. Good updates, particularly for this large launch of Scions and Feudum coming down.
Yeah. And, all new play styles for Feudum and Scions, and interesting play styles.
Yes.
Fun, sort of crazy mix 'em ups. So, and, Feudum, until reading through this patch, there was a lot of things that they did that were not impactful. I thought, a lot of their buffing was, really? What's that for? Now it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now hitting a unit that's sitting there in a combat has been disarmed, or what's his name? Being able to take that away immediately, you're literally giving them a great chance to fight and win.
Yeah.
So love it, love it, love it. So again, let's take a quick break and we'll go into lore part 2, where we're just going to briefly hit on, neither one of us are psychologists, but we're going to go over some tried and true, well publicized things of how to get through the holidays if this isn't your favorite time of year. If it is your favorite time of the year, you can ignore us. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
But if not, listen up.
The world has gotten even stranger than you already know.
At this point, I doubt anything would surprise me.
$10 says you're wrong.
All right, part 2 of lore, which is going to be hobbying through the holidays. And I want to start out with a blanket kind of thing. If you don't know, if you are in the United States, the hotline, just dial 988. If you ever feel like it's closing in on you and you want to do something, you need to talk to somebody, call 988. If you're a veteran, they'll direct you to the VA helpline. If not, they will direct you to people that will talk to you and hopefully help you through whatever it is you're going through. So remember that number, 988, easy. So what about the holidays, Josh?
It's well known that the holidays can be a very difficult time for some people, whether it's due to previous loss or previous trauma. And it may not even mean that, you're necessarily alone, but you get affected by things like seasonal affective disorder and stuff like that. And it's a time of year that, can be very dangerous for individuals who have some of these issues. Yep. And so it's very important to be cognizant of those issues. And if you don't feel that you are, being able to seek the right individual who can help put tools in your toolbox. But really, just at the outset, try to be a little bit more aware of where your feelings are throughout the day. Some of us, with the time change, leave when it's dark, get home when it's dark. The only time we see the sunlight is if maybe we step out and go to lunch or something.
Yeah.
And that does have a patent effect on us, because sunlight is directly tied to higher moods. And so when we're in this position where we don't ever see the light of day, it's going to cause a dip in mood. And so recognizing when that's happening, sometimes you may not be able to go out and get some sunlight just because of the weather, right? Things like that, or because it's restrictively cold outside. So there are other ways, and we can talk about some of that stuff that you can get to, but just be very aware of where you are throughout the day, and acknowledge those things.
Yeah, and don't feel like you're wrong for feeling that way, because you're not. It's a real thing. Seasonal affective disorder is a real, honest-to-God thing, and you can see it in Alaska all the time. And not only is it isolation, but it's that feeling of isolation. You could be in a whole room full of people and still feel isolated.
Yep.
Don't think that you are wrong for those feelings. You are not. It's you, and it's okay.
It is okay. And, the first step being, being able to recognize, those feelings. The next part is making sure that you have some type of a plan in place, right? If you start to actually feel like you're going a little bit down, right? Yeah. If the depression really starts to hit, what do you have in place, right? And building in those fail safes can be very effective, whether it's, knowing that you have a standing agreement with, your best friend that, hey, anytime during this time of year that one of us is down, like shoot the text, we'll take a quick break and do a phone call or something, or knowing that, potentially with all the virtual services that are available for like counseling and things like that, knowing which ones can do on demand.
Yeah.
Hopefully if insurance covers it, you can just jump on with little out of pocket.
Yeah.
Right. Knowing those types of things. And also like knowing that you may be going through this, scheduling time for your hobby. Because the hobby's therapy for a lot of us. Right.
Yep.
And so knowing that like, hey, no, I've scheduled this hour to 2 hours for me to build models or for me to paint models. Right. And that's what I'm going to be doing during that time, and if someone tries, to interrupt that or anything's like, nope, I've already got plans.
Yeah. And that the biggie, don't be afraid to decline. Around the holidays, everybody's like, oh, we're going out tonight. Come on, don't be a wet blanket. You got to come out. No, I don't want to. Tonight's my night. And I'm going to do the things I want to do. Don't be afraid to be a wet noodle. Who cares? This is your health you're talking about. And not everybody gets that.
Exactly. And making sure that other people will understand that too. Like that's part of the pre-planning stage. It's like, hey, everyone, just so you know, I do kind of go through some things this time of year.
Yeah.
So there may be times where I don't want to hang out, right? It doesn't mean that anything's wrong, but I already have a plan in place if I do think something's going wrong, right?
Yep.
So there's a way to do that. Part of, planning too is developing like what we call a self-care routine, which is, for a lot of us, that's where our hobby comes in, right? It's doing something good for us, something that makes us feel good about ourselves. And not to mention that if we're dealing with something, but we can't quite, put a finger on it, when you actually engage in creative activities, it can actually trigger certain problem-solving parts of your brain that could help you like realign and be like, oh, okay, I'm experiencing this. So even if you don't know that you are, right? Like sometimes depression can be very sneaky.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels like, oh, I'm just tired, right? And you're like, God, but I've just been working so hard. I just don't know what to do. But then, like when you're actually engaging in your hobby, you might be like, oh, there it is, right? And that's because you've been exercising that part of your brain. But, it's not just hobbying too. You have to consider your health otherwise, right? Making sure you make yourself some healthy meals, right? Making sure you drink water regularly.
Oh, man.
That's one of the big ones.
Yep.
Showering, those little things that like we take for granted on a daily basis, but if you do so intentionally, right, they have a greater effect positively on your mental health. And then you have the other good things that are good for you with self-care, like detaching from your phone for a while, right? Sitting down and just reading a book instead of doom scrolling through whatever social media platform and just spamming memes at, friends, because that's real brain rot. And, given that there's already sort of at least in, well, I guess all over the world, right? The volatile political states of various places can play on other people's mental health, right? And so being able to detach from that, 24/7 drip feed of every horrible thing going on in the world, right? Sitting back and actually just reading a book can be very effective. Or listening to an audiobook, right? While you hobby, right? So you get 2 for 1s on that one, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Knock out some lore and knock out some hobby. And, if you're going to spend time to doing hobby, do the parts that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And say to hell, if you don't feel like painting, don't paint, build. If you really want to build that cool model and you said you weren't going to build it until you painted take a break, build it.
Yeah.
Have some fun.
Yeah.
I have found myself in the last week or two, I just don't have the impetus to paint. I just really don't feel like sitting down and painting a model. So I've been building the crap out of stuff. And, that is what it's paying off. It gets rid of some of the boxes and it adds to the pile of gray.
But it advances the hobby regardless.
That's right. It's you're moving forward, and don't let anybody tell you what you have to do. These are hobbies and they're supposed to bring fun and joy. So, and again, it just goes back to that whole mental health thing. If this ain't your time, make time to do the things that you enjoy, not what everybody else thinks you should enjoy, because they're not you and they don't know you.
Right.
Not as well as you do anyway. Watch a movie, do something, And again, it might be as simple as getting together with the greater hobby community that you have. And, I'm not saying you got to go out and play the game, but maybe just go out and watch Friday Night Magic. You don't have to play. You don't have to be involved. Just go and kibitz and have some fun and hang around. Go out there to the Marvel Crisis Protocol night or the Battletech night or the Age of Sigmar night, and just, sit around and watch the games and talk to the people and make sure you're connecting with other people. And you'd be surprised. Other people probably are reaching out and looking for that too. So,
yeah. And in sort of the reverse of that, right? Reaching out to others if you perceive that someone may need some assistance, right? Which again is reconnecting with community, It doesn't say you have to go out to like a giant event or something, even if it's just like getting together with, 1 to 3 friends for Commander Night or, something like that, just re-engaging in those little things that make you just feel better, right? But also reaching out to others, because if you work on creating a community for others, then it could be very welcome, right? The gaming community, particularly in like, the Albuquerque area, right, is super strong and is very supportive. So people are always looking to get games in depending on what system it is. There's always something going on throughout the week, right? And so if you find that there's not something there, or if you have a friend who wants something a little bit smaller, host at your house. Do something. In order to help reconnect. I find that one to be very powerful. Because if you feel like you just don't have any hobby fuel in you, right? When you're around others who are hobbying, like it oftentimes helps fill that tank back up, even just a little bit to get you going. But then next thing you know, that little bit, I started to walk, then I started to jog, then I started to run. It does help a lot to reconnect like that.
Yep. And, be on the lookout for, if you are part of these communities, if you are the Friday Night Magic guy, if you are the Tuesday night or Monday night Battletech guy, and you notice that last couple of weeks, somebody hasn't shown up, why not give them a call and just see, hey, is everything okay? Are you good? And it could be that they're just in a spot where they don't want to be around anybody because this is affecting them, and maybe reach out and help them. You never know what you might be doing. So, if you always see Johnny at Friday night and all of a sudden he's not there, check. Reach out, see what's going on. And sometimes that can be hugely impactful in someone's life.
Totes.
But again, the big key here is remember that number 988. And don't feel like you're the one who's wrong for not having all the fun that you're supposed to have during the holidays. Because it could be anything that this isn't your holiday, or it could be that the toxic fun that people are putting on, the plastic fun, the credit card fun, isn't your bag. And it's okay. You're not wrong. So just corollary to that is when it is weighing on you that much, know when you need to go talk to somebody, and never be afraid to talk to a professional. And don't always take the advice of friends. Professionals are professionals for a reason. They know how to communicate, and they know how to work through what you're going through and identify root causes. And friends a lot of times will be like, oh, quit being a wet noodle. All you need is a good drink. Well, that's the exact opposite of what you need. So, I always go back to Robin Williams. Here's a guy who literally had everything, and very few people realized what he was going through inside, because he had everything. He was a great comic. He was literally at or near the peak of his career, and he took his own life because the depression was that bad, and he didn't have anyone to reach out to. And you can sit there, and from a cynical point of view, you can be like, a guy with that many connections and that much money, he always had somebody to reach. No, he didn't have anybody that he could reach out to that he felt could help. And that's the problem. And don't be like that. When you start to feel the walls closing in around you, reach out, get some help. Talk to someone, a professional someone, preferably. Again, 988 will get you that person. And, if it costs $100, if it costs $200, it's worth it. This is the rest of your life you're talking about. So,
and always, if something is in an emergent state, 911 would be the first number to call.
Sure.
Go to there. 988 if you're in a more stabilized but feeling the walls closing in state. But if it's getting dire, 911. And even think about that for friends.
Yep.
So, but take care. Really focus on the things that make you feel good. In terms of the hobby, I'm not going to say go all Bachnalian out there and take up coke and hookers, but
I was going to say coke and hookers. That's the holidays.
Let it snow. Ho ho ho. We got there. But yeah, like the part of the hobby that makes you feel good, right? I feel like painting today, right? Hey, you're in the middle of painting and you're like, you know what? I don't feel like painting anymore. I think I want to build something. Stop, go build something.
Yep, it's easy.
Okay? Just pivot as you need to. Be there for others and seek others if you feel you need them. And then always go to the professionals. There are plenty of online therapy choices now that can get you matched up pretty darn quick. Some do cost, but highly recommend them. Some of them, and of course we're not sponsored, but like BetterHelp is one of the ones that is most advertised out there. But again, there's multiple types if you can't find someone local. And I myself have used an online source before since I couldn't find anyone local for a while, and it works fantastic for crisis intervention, behavioral health therapy, right, talk therapy, that kind of thing. So definitely enthusiastic that is available more widely now than it had been in the past. So holiday time, take care of others, and really where you can enjoy the time that you can enjoy.
Damn straight.
Try and get some sunlight, try and go for walks. That's my thing. I'd probably take, like when I'm at work, I think I take like 4 10 to 15 minute walks a day.
Yeah.
Right. Helps the blood flow.
Get your mind right. Yep.
Yeah. And, for us in sedentary jobs, it's very important to do that unless you want to develop blood clots. So
yeah,
that's long-term self-care type stuff. So yeah, any other parting thoughts, Bill?
No, that's just it. Have a great holiday. We probably won't hear from you until after the holidays, but definitely have a great holiday. Enjoy your time. Make efforts to be the person that you want to be and that you all think we should be, but don't feel bad if you don't feel great. So that's about it.
So happy holidays, everyone, whatever you may be celebrating. Thank you for joining us throughout this year as we've done a huge switch up in our normal fare. We're still trying to find the right tempo, but there are so many games and
there's so much out there. Oh my God. More in After Dark because
there's going to be some rants.
Yes.
But as always, it's been wonderful producing these episodes for you guys. Please, of course, let us know what more you want to see. If there's specifics you want to get in, recommendations that you have. Of course, we have no shortage of things to talk about. And of course, if you just say the word conquest, Bill and I are probably going to talk for about 50 minutes straight about whatever's happening.
Oh, talk about the Discord server.
Oh, Discord server. Yeah. So we do apologize. There has been a couple spammers that slipped through. Now, normally I am able to access Discord through my phone relatively quickly in case I need to handle something like that. However, I am having a technical issue where I can't see half of my screen. It still works, but I can't see half my screen. So I'm working on getting a replacement phone. Otherwise I would have tackled that a lot quicker on both instances. So we apologize for that. It's funny how those things just slip through just completely out of nowhere and unannounced. So we're looking to rectify that, or if necessary, provide more support for the Discord server. But please, keep chatting with us there. Let us know what you want to hear. If you want us to focus on a particular thing that came out because you want to get our points of view on it, please let us know and we'll jump on it. So for now, happy holidays, folks. And for those of us joining after dark, well, I guess we'll see you there.
It's coming. The Albuquerque Narrative Gamers Podcast, or Anger Podcast, is protected under the Creative Commons license. You can find information for this at creativecommons.org. Information and links about the show's topics will be in the show notes, as will any other copyright information that needs to be presented.